All right. So we're going to start, and I'm going to put some slides up. So I'll see you on a little bit later. So we're going to put some slides up. There we go. So everybody can see my slides. So I want to welcome you to the webinar today. And today's topic is tapping into your goals. Tapping into your 2017 goals and making them aligned with where you want to be. So how do you feel about your goals, and do you feel aligned? So a little bit about me just to start with. I'm a mother and wife, and they're still very much a main part of my my focus. I really enjoy the picture here. On the side there, that's actually my 8 children. And so, yes, I actually birthed 8 children. That was taken a couple of years ago. So the youngest daughter there is just finished year 10. And my darling husband climbing the bridge in Brisbane. But I also am adventurous and love to travel. And that's, of course, one of our big goals. Yes, and Melanie, 8 children. Even I struggled to imagine that I had 8 children, but there they are. Luckily, they're pretty well all grown up. I've actually only got the youngest one at home now. So life's got a bit easier. So I've run a number of successful businesses in my life. And we're talking about health before. I've actually ran a health food shop for about 12 years and got all of the qualifications and things for that. I've been a counsellor and a social worker and a social scientist. I've also worked as a bookkeeper. And we own management rights for a number of years. My most recent, one of my careers recently was as a personal trainer, and I've been doing that for 10 years, and I really love it, and I still do some of that because I just love my groups so much. I've got about 4 groups that I run: Tai Chi and aqua aerobics, and I just love them. I particularly work with the older people, and I just love them. They've become my friends. You can imagine 10 years of teaching them. But we also run, as all of the boys there and my husband, we run a property development business, and we've been running that for about 10 years as well. And it's doing very well and employs them all and their families. And we also invest in properties. So the properties down there are 2 of our investment houses that we've got in Brisbane. And we now have a portfolio of, I've lost track, 8, I think, of different houses, all positively geared. So you might ask, well, why am I even bothering to do a business like this? And it's because I love it. I ran into EFT about 3 years ago, and it was like the light went off. It was, this is the thing that I've been hunting for, all of these different courses and careers that I've had. And it was the one thing that was missing was that, why do people do things? Everybody knows that they should eat healthy and everybody knows they should exercise. But why don't they do it? And that's where EFT came in, and it's the mindset. And to be able to add the mindset to both the exercise and the food and the money and all of those things was just so valuable. And so I just absolutely loved it. So what can you do? How can it help you? Oops. So you're an entrepreneur. You might have a business where you see people, or it's an online business, but you're into making money and you want some income. And there's no real purpose having a business if it isn't just for income. Well, not just for income. Obviously, we want to help people, but income is one of our main reasons. We're in business and we want to grow our income. But you might be feeling that you're stuck by your own personal glass ceiling. And each one of us has a set point where it's difficult to get above. It might be income that you earned in your previous job, or it might be income that you think that people can earn. So, something like personal trainers, often personal trainers don't earn a lot of money, and so they've got a ceiling. They sort of, I'm a personal trainer, I can't earn much money. So EFT works on the mindset, and that's the really important bit. So you might be feeling really frustrated about your level of income and you want to grow it. And you might be looking at your 2017 goals and thinking, how on earth am I going to achieve this? So that's what we're going to learn today, how tapping or EFT can help you with your money mindset in all areas of your life. So it doesn't actually just have to be in your business, it can actually be very helpful in all areas. But today we're going to specialize in just in your money mindset. But remember, it applies to everything where you find that you might be self-sabotaging or where you're struggling in any area. And I know that when I first started learning EFT, and I was doing it for health and for money, and the one thing that improved quickly was my relationship, my marriage. It was like overnight, it just improved. And of course, that's all about me letting go of my blocks and my issues and my core beliefs. And once I was able to tap those away, my marriage just instantly became brilliant. And it can work like that for everything. So that's what we're going to work on today. What's going to happen if we don't address the mindset? And it's really important to think about this. We often hear about how important mindset is, but most business people don't actually put much work into the mindset. And if you don't address it, that's where you're going to run against the stress and the frustration, the constant self-sabotage, even fear and burnout. And they're all issues that business people and entrepreneurs struggle with greatly. And it's so frustrating because nearly 90% of coaches never earn more than $30,000 a year. And we just don't want that to be us, do we? That's not where we're going. So how vitally important is it to get this mindset right? Well, this is a quote from Denise Duffield-Thomas. She's a money mindset coach in Australia here. And this is her quote, that in her experience, and she's earning good money, 10% of it's strategy and 90% is mindset and beliefs. 90%. And yet here she is earning 6- and 7-figure business. Tony Robbins, who most of you will know, he says 80% of it is mindset. So we spend all our time and money thinking about doing like business strategies and Facebook strategies and how to advertise and all of those things. And yet here are these two experts telling us that the majority of the work needs to be on our mindset. So how are we going to do that? All right, so I teach this thing called EFT. It stands for Emotional Freedom Technique, and you'll often hear of it referred to as tapping. And it's called tapping because we actually tap on our acupuncture points, and another name is psychological acupuncture. So we're combining all of the good stuff from psychology and all of the good stuff from energy. And it's not, when you think, well, how on earth if I just tap on my face, how is that going to make money? And you're right, it's not quite that easy, although it sometimes does work that easy. And one of my first experiences very early on when I was learning EFT was I was at a seminar and they were doing food cravings. And this particular lady, and she's given me permission to share her story, because her craving was Coca-Cola. And she was drinking 2 litres a day. And that's a phenomenal amount. And she said, I don't care if it's flat, I don't care if it's hot, I have to have my 2 litres of Coke a day. And so she was brought up as the demonstration. And within 15 minutes, she said, who would drink this horrible stuff? It was like, this tastes disgusting. And because I didn't know her at that point, but it turned out that she lived quite close to where I live. And so I run into her now every couple of months. And obviously I ask her, how is her addiction going? And she has never drunk it since. And that was 3 years ago. She said, I don't want it. I can't imagine drinking it. That was 15 minutes, and it can be that quick. Sometimes it's not, and it's wrong to suggest that it's always going to be that quick. What the reasons are that often we have different aspects. So not always is it just one reason. And so you tap on that reason, but the other reasons are still there. So you might have to find the different aspects of the issue. But once you've found them and tapped them away, it's gone. You don't have that issue anymore. We use an analogy in tapping of a table and with its legs. And so we knock down the legs one at a time, and eventually the tabletop will fall down. Now, if your table has, 50 legs, then it can take a while. Now, we usually don't have to knock down every 50, but we might have to knock down 20. So it depends on how many legs your issue's got. So that just means Denise saying she's got 60 legs on her table. Yes, so it takes a little while sometimes. If there's been a lot of issues around it, it can take time. But we're going to learn today about how to do it and see if we can get some of these. Monique saying that Denise, you're not alone. There's a number of centipedes running around. So what I suggest is that tapping needs to become part of your daily routine. It's something that you need to do on a regular basis to keep knocking down those centipede legs. It's not something that you do once and then it's fixed, because we are full of little issues running around inside of us. I also feel it takes real bravery. And I say bravery, often we think of, people in war being brave, but they're soldiers and they're told to go and they go. This is where you're voluntarily putting yourself somewhere where it might be uncomfortable. It might even send you into tears. And it's bravery to want to go there knowing that by clearing those issues, you're going to be better in the long run, even if it's uncomfortable to begin with. And that to me is real bravery. And I compliment all of my clients on their bravery to go where they really don't want to go. The other one that we need is forgiveness. So often forgiveness for other people, and especially forgiveness for ourselves, because we've done the best we can do with what we know. And yes, we come along now and we learn more. Forgive yourself for things you did in the past that weren't so smart, but you didn't know any better. So always make sure that you forgive yourself. So they're some of the really important things. So how does it actually work? Okay, so this is a little diagram here of our mind. So we have our conscious mind, and that's where we do our thinking, our willpower, our short-term memory, all of those maths things that you remember, they're all in our conscious mind. I've got a daughter doing a science exam today. It'll be in her conscious mind until the end of the exam, and then there'll probably be nothing left in there. I remember exams like that. So that's your conscious mind. Now, we've all had the experience of, once we've learnt to drive a car, of driving somewhere and ending up and having no memory of getting there. And that's because we now drive with our subconscious mind, our habits. So driving eventually becomes a habit. Our emotions are stored in our subconscious mind, our long-term memory, and our subconscious mind is also the part of us that tries to protect us. So if we've seen things that are painful or difficult or a problem, we want to stay away from that area, and our subconscious mind will try very hard to keep us away from a problem. And our unconscious mind is the one that keeps our heart beating and all of that, which is, very valuable, but we don't have to worry about it. It's doing its job just perfect. It's this subconscious mind where we're going to work with, because this is where we learnt things as a child. This is where we heard things. This is where we experienced things. And all of that's stored in our subconscious mind. So we might not remember it. It's certainly not what we're thinking with our conscious mind, but it's where we operate from. And so it's a really important to remember that it's, no matter how much you want to make money, no matter how much you desire the business to succeed, no matter how much you will it, that's all in your conscious mind. And your subconscious mind is the thing that's running you. It's where your core beliefs are being held. It's the next. So all of your feelings are stored in your subconscious brain, all of your past experiences, all of your core beliefs. So think about this. What did you learn about working and working hard? Did your father have to work hard? And so you watched him and he came home at night and he told you how hard he worked and how tired he was and how stressed he was. And so, yep, exactly, Monique. We learnt we have to work hard for our money. And we saw it. They might not have even said it. We just saw it. As little kids, we saw our dads tired. Mum said to us, well, poor daddy's worked hard today. And we learnt that you have to work hard to make money. And, I really didn't think I had that belief until recently when I realised I said something one day and I said, oh, but I'll have to work harder. And I went, whoops, there it is. And so one of the ways you can find these beliefs is just what you say and listen to what your family says. So Mandy's saying you can't do what you love and earn money. Exactly. We heard that or saw it. Dad really wanted to be this, but he had to go and do that job for money. What about your mum? Many mothers stayed at home and maybe they had part-time jobs. And one of the things I realised is my mother had a part-time job most of my life. She had a part-time job. And yet I never remember anybody talking about her income. She had some quite good jobs. And yet her income wasn't even considered. No one talked about my mother worked hard to earn money. And so we've learnt another belief that women's money doesn't count. And it's you think, oh, I couldn't possibly have that belief. But it's worth looking into. And I've certainly talked to people who actually, one lady was saying she actually earned more than her husband, and yet they still called the husband the breadwinner. So that one about women's income doesn't count. In my day, it was used to call pin money. It was like, it was just, it didn't count. It wasn't real money. It was pin money. Maybe you struggled at school and someone at school said, you'll never amount to anything. You better go and just be a shop assistant or something because you'll never be able to make real money. You won't amount to anything very much. Or maybe you were the baby of the family and everybody said, oh, you're just a baby. You never do anything right. Yeah, so Denise is saying that, as women, we took up a job just to do before we got married because the real career option was to get married and have a husband support you. And so, yes, and then we have, so Mandy's talking about the belief systems we might have around rich people. So you have to be dishonest to earn good money. Rich people are crooks. Rich people lie. So what have you learnt about rich people? Maybe even in the last couple of months, you've had some programming about what rich people are like. So whatever we've been taught about rich, that's what we're going to believe. So if we believe that rich people are crooks, that they're dishonest, that they're horrible people, why would we want to be rich? So that's where that picture of the subconscious mind, it's saying to you, you don't want to be rich. It's trying to do that self-preservation. It's saying, you're not a crook, you're not a bad person, you don't want people to hate you, so you can't be rich. I'm going to look after you and protect you. And it's doing a really good job, except we actually want to be rich. So, yes, another one is that, people like us just earn average wage. Other people earn good money, but people like us, be happy with you are. Stay in your station. There's all variations on that theme of like, don't expect too much. Be grateful for what you've got. So using the conscious mind there, just to tell yourself that I want to earn more money, I want to be rich, I'm going to do this, I'm going to work hard and I'm going to achieve it. That's all in the conscious mind. And you cannot make the subconscious mind change. No matter how much effort you put in the conscious mind, it will not change the subconscious mind. We need something different. And we've heard of meditation, and meditation, of course, can come into the subconscious mind. I'm not so sure affirmations do. I think affirmations are still in the conscious mind. I think I have an analogy where it's like a garden bed and we have all these weeds and there's the belief systems in this unconscious mind. And until we pull those weeds out, we can't put in the flowers, the desires, the beliefs, the thoughts that we want to have. So this is where I get really excited about tapping, because that's what tapping can do. It can be like the bridge between the conscious and the subconscious mind. We can clear the junky thoughts out of our unconscious mind and put in the thoughts that we want. So we're going to tap to clear the old stories and beliefs. You like the garden analogy, I do too. You can't plant flowers when the weeds are still there. So we're going to change the mindset. We're going to tap into the old stories and beliefs, and the subconscious mind is what's controlling your success or lack of it. We can manifest what we want. We can't manifest what we want. You cannot just manifest what you want. We manifest what we believe. Okay? And so it has to be down in the belief system. So if you're experiencing any financial difficulty or not achieving the financial freedom that you want, then it's a limiting belief around money. And once you shift this limiting belief at the subconscious level, the money will start to flow and you'll have what you want. And it actually works in any area of our life. So it can work for weight, it can work for health, it can work for relationships, it can work for anything. Once we clear the unconscious, the subconscious beliefs, then we can manifest what we want. So let's discover what some of your limiting beliefs are. I want you to think about your money goal, your income goal for 2017. So what is the income level that you would like? So everybody think of a number. Hopefully you've already thought of something. You've already starting to set your goals. And I've heard everything from, 20,000 to 100,000. So any of the numbers are right. It'll just be your number. So Denise is saying she has it, but she doubts it. All right. So you can see with that belief system, how can you choose? How can you achieve it if you're already doubting it? So that's perfect. That's what I want. And I was actually going to suggest you all double the number. So if you chose 20,000, I wanted you to make it 40,000. So Monique's saying she can't even imagine making any money because she hasn't even started yet. So, obviously don't set, $1 million as your first year's goal, because that's going to be very hard to believe. Remember, you're going to achieve what you believe. So set a goal. So maybe Mandy and Monique, maybe just $10,000, and then maybe double it to 20. Now, the next thing I want you to do is just sit back for a minute and think of that amount of money. So whatever you've set your goal at, think of that money and what's coming up. So we're hearing scary. How am I going to do that? It's too hard. So they're that's your conscious mind telling you that you can't do it. And ridiculous, yes. So they're all your conscious mind. So now sit and think about what your body's feeling like. So can you feel some tension in your body with that? Tense, yeah. Can you feel it in your gut, in the center of your body? Even nauseous. Perfect. Intense. So can you see how that's going to be very difficult to achieve that goal when your body's reacting so negatively towards it? And what about any other feelings? Like, can you hear any? I think that's the next slide, actually. Can you hear any thoughts about who do you think you are? You can't do that. Can you remember people when you were younger saying things like that to you? Denise has got one there about getting into all sorts of tax troubles. So that's interesting. So that feeling about paying tax, if I earn money, I'm going to have to do better bookkeeping. I'm going to have to keep track of my money. I'm going to have to give the taxman some money. And then, yeah, don't be greedy. And that's a big one. And so we've been taught that, when you were very young, and it might have been over a piece of cake and you wanted more than one piece. And it's like, don't be greedy. So we can have been programmed. It can have been, quite dramatic things like failing at school and having a teacher yell at you and saying you'll never amount to anything. Or it can be quite small, like, one classic that happened in my husband's family was the girls got less pocket money than the boys. Imagine what that does to your mindset. So, already as a 6-year-old, you're knowing that as a girl, you're not going to get as much money. Qualifications is another one. That's right, and when we see people constantly getting more qualifications. So all of these are your mindset holding you back. So for those who don't know tapping, I'm just going to change a little bit here, and we're going to talk about the tapping points. So we start there on the karate chop point. So that's on the side of your hand there, just next to your little finger. And we tap with 2 or 3 fingers. So that way we're going to make sure we hit the spot. And we tap on that spot and we're going to do a thing called the setup statement. So a setup statement is really a statement of what is the actual problem, the issue, the thing we want to change. And then we're going to finish with, but I love and accept how I feel. And that's really important because all of these thoughts and feelings are part of who we are. So all of, everything is who we are. So we love and accept where we are right now. We might want to change it, but the first thing we need to do is to accept it. And so we do that 3 times on the karate chop point. And then we're going to go round the tapping points. Now you can tap on either side of the body and you can tap with 2 or 3 fingers. So we start there with the eyebrow point and you see that between the nose and the eyebrow. So that's number 1 point. And then the next one is the side of the eye. So it's on the bone, so not on the eye, just go a little bit further out and beside the bone there and tapping there. The next one is under the eye, so right under the centre of the eye, again on the bone, don't hurt your eye. Under the nose, so the bit between the nose and the top of the lip. And then the next spot's called the chin spot, but it's actually on the spot between the chin and the lip. So it's usually got you've usually got a crease there. And that's that chin spot. Then our collarbone spot. So as you can see, just under the collarbone there and in a little bit from the sternum, the bone in the middle. So down under the collarbone and in from the sternum. And then our underarm spot, if you go across your bra and go under your arm, it's that spot there on the top of your bra and then the very top of your head. All right, so you have those topping spots. I'm going to actually come on live now and we're going to tap on those issues. So I'm going to see if I can remember how to do this. Oops. Chat. Okay, Dave, what was the next thing? Share screen? No. Start my video, that's it. All right. Can you all see me? Can you see me? Yes. Terrific. Perfect. All right. So I want you to go back to thinking now about the money and your goals and all of those things that you said before about feeling squishy, feeling uncomfortable, feeling like it's a problem. So do you remember all of those feelings? And we're going to tap. So we're going to start here on this karate chop point, and we're going to say, even though I feel like my goal is impossible, I don't feel I can do this, and I feel so uncomfortable when I think about it. But I love and accept how I feel. Even though this goal seems impossible, how on earth am I ever going to achieve it? It's way too hard. I don't know if I can do this, but I love and accept how I feel. So say your words as we tap along. Even though I feel like my goal is, say your number, I'm not sure how I can do it, but I love and accept how I feel. And then here, this eyebrow point, this is too hard. Beside the eye, I don't know if I can do this. Under the eye, this feels so difficult. Under the nose, this is so hard. On the chin, I feel so stressed. On the collarbone spot, I feel so squishy in my stomach. Under the arm, this is too hard. On top of the head, how on earth am I going to do this? Beside the eye again, I feel so uncomfortable. Beside the eye, I can't believe I've set this as my goal. What makes me think I could do this? I feel so stressed. I need more qualifications. I need more experience. Why would someone buy from me? Why would someone listen to me? This is too hard. I can't do this. It's way too hard. I feel stressed. I feel so tight in my stomach. I feel overwhelmed by all of that I've got to do. I haven't even started my business. How on earth am I going to make that level of money? And a big breath out. So, how do you feel? Can you feel any change? I can put glasses on so I can see. A lot of yawning. Denise, yawning is fantastic because this tension is stuck in our cells. So every cell of our body has this tension. And every cell, it's not just in our conscious mind, it's actually in every cell of our body. And as we're doing this tapping, we're lifting, yes, we're lifting it, we're moving those negative beliefs out of our belief systems in our subconscious mind, but also out of the cells in our body. So yawning is a way of releasing the tension. Sneezing is one that I do, which is interesting. Burping sometimes. There's all sorts of physical reactions that can happen. Needed the deep breath, feeling lighter. It's amazing, isn't it? Just those, and that was a very generalized tapping, obviously, of how the tapping can help you reduce the stress. Less stress, more more blood flows to the brain, the more success that you can have, the more creativity you can have, the more good thoughts you can have. So yawning's fantastic. Ooh, and burping is great. And just, yeah, sometimes that feeling of feeling lighter, feeling like it's easier. So obviously we did a very generalized tapping, but it can also, we work with more in depth as well. Specifically when we talked about some of those belief systems around when we were a child and people saying you'll never amount to anything or you can't do it. All right, so I'm glad that you all felt something there. Now let's see if I can go back to my slides. Okay, share screen. Okay, Dave. Share screen. There we go. Oh, there we go. Is that working? Can you all see that screen now? Yes, terrific. Oh, I did it. Okay, so is there any questions? So you can ask me anything about the tapping or what you can do. Any questions at all about how that worked? I'm so glad you all felt a little bit better. That's fantastic. So while you're typing in your questions, how long should we tap for? So good question, Monique. Hard answer. As you saw, we just did literally we just went round 3 times. I'm now still using my hands, so you can't see. But we did 3 rounds and you already felt better. If we did another, we would stop and think about what other thoughts came up and tap again. I suggest every day for about 15 minutes, but sometimes when it's a big issue, you might want to go until you've cleared it. All right. So, so we focus on the negative, and I know that's really weird because we've spent our whole life talking about, we must say the positive, we must think positive, we must be positive. What we're doing is we're not really speaking the negative, we're actually talking about what's true. So this is how we really feel, and we're letting it out. So by speaking it, by saying it, and particularly out loud if you can, it's like we're talking with that analogy of the weeds. It's like we're pulling those weeds out. We say it out loud so they can come out. And that's where the combination of the psychology. So we're talking about the problem. At the same time, we're tapping. So the talking is the negative, and the tapping is helping our system to calm down. So if you notice the positive stuff coming to mind, that's perfect, because that's what we actually want. We want the negative to go and the positive to come to the surface. Like, hang on a second, I can do this. Hang on, it's not all that bad. So yes, that's what we actually want. And then that's when you know you finish the tapping. When, if I've set a goal of earning $40,000 this year and my mind says, I can do that. That's easy. Yeah, no problems. That's when you know you've got your tappings done. If you start tapping and it feels worse, that's actually brilliant, because what you've done is tapped into your feelings. So much of our life we spend pushing our feelings down and away. And this is why tapping works so well for weight loss, because food is often how we push our feelings away. So we get uncomfortable, we have a fight, we get stressed, we get overwhelmed, we eat. And that pushes the feelings down. Once we deal with the stresses, the need to eat goes away. So it might be drink, it might be drugs, it might be overwork, it might be too much Facebook. All of those things are used to keep the feelings down. So when you start tapping and the feelings get worse, it's a really good sign that you've hit upon something that's important, and keep going because it will go down. So Cosmic just said, I only came now. Yes, there'll be a replay. It will be out later this afternoon. Seeing a path to my way out while doing the tapping good or wishful thinking. No, it's not wishful thinking. It's because the subconscious brain is like the little voices in our head. When the little voices start saying, hey, you can do this, that's what it is. It's the little voices in your subconscious mind saying you can do it. So Monique's saying she's still yawning. Yes, you can. The result can stay for a while. It's a great sign. It means you're releasing that tension. Ideally, you will keep tapping until the voices all say you can do this, or the tension in your stomach's gone, or whatever the symptom was that you were feeling has gone. So yeah, we just have to keep going. That's right. All right. So I just want to show you about a program that I've got called Mind Matters, and it's a way of having me work with you without having to pay me a fortune. So it takes you through 4 sections. So every month there's 4 new modules that come up in the 4 levels of money mindset. So what I've done is divide it into the way that businesses are often done. So the foundations, where we're just starting a business and we're only beginning. So as a couple of you said, you're just starting. So some of the issues in the foundation section will be things like setting goals. And then there'll be the next level is the growth level. So our business is starting to grow and we're now running into other problems. So it might be things like having to increase your prices and all of the issues that brings up. And then as your business grows, you will have leverage products. So where you do something like this, an online product, and that brings up another whole set of issues about earning money for nothing. So the classic one in the leverage is, we have to work hard to make money. And if you've got a leverage product, you've done the hard work and now you're just making the money. And then when we get to the very top level with the wealth building category, there's things like being famous and being seen and being known, and can you keep it up? So each level of business has its issues and stresses. So what I've done is I've divided it into the 4 levels and then put different modules. So a little bit like we did today over stress over goal setting, there's lots of, just like what we did today, where I take you through a tapping process and asking you questions that will help bring up the issues that you have over that particular issue. And then you can work through it and obviously get to the other side. So there is a Facebook group and it's a great place to come and talk about, ask questions. So I'm on there regularly and we'll answer your questions. We're also doing live calls regularly and we'll actually do some tapping together. And we'll certainly tap on issues as they come up. So that's my new program called Mind Matters, and I think it's a really exciting way of doing a regular tapping practice. Because as we're saying, this is not something that we do once and then we forget about it. We need to do it on a regular basis because we're just talking about the different levels of business, and that will constantly come up. There'll always be a new issue. There'll always be something you're facing, and we need to tap them away as they come. And so this is a program designed to help you. You can go through, find the issue you're working through today, and have a script to help you tap on that. So the classic one I use, and my friend Denise here was the instigator of this one, was when someone asks you for a refund. And you're a reasonable way into your business, you think you're doing okay, and then someone asks you for a refund and all of the issues that brings up. So, maybe no one will like me, maybe they don't like my program, maybe no one will like my program, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And so all of those thoughts come up. And so that's when you can come into this Mind Matters, find the module called Refund and work through it and tap through those issues. So it might be that you've got a tax bill. I think someone mentioned that before, that the tax man suddenly wants some of your money, and that brings up a whole bunch of issues. I don't want to earn so much, I have to pay tax. And again, I will take you through all of the issues that might come with paying tax. So what did you learn about paying tax? What did your family say about the government and tax paying? And so I'll ask those questions and you can work through that so that you don't get stuck at, the level of, stay under the glass ceiling of tax level. Or as your business grows, there's another ceiling called having to pay GST. So all of these can be trigger points. And my Mind Matters course will take you through each one of these little triggers and help you clear them. And I just think it's a wonderful way for you to be able to clear this stuff on a regular basis, because as I said before, I think tapping's something that has to be done on a regular basis because our tables have so many legs and we need to keep knocking them down. The view of the way through with enthusiasm and a light headache now. Yeah, I get a headache sometimes too, Ron. I think it's just that we're making new neural pathways. So it's not just something that happens in our thought pattern. It's actually we're reprogramming our brain. And I think sometimes the head just gets a bit sore. So yes, Denise, that it needs to become a habit. I really do encourage everybody, 15 minutes a day. You can actually do it while you're driving the car once you've got the hang of the points. So it's not something that has to take away from things you're doing. But if you could just make that a habit and keep the stress levels down, because stress has so much negative impact on us. And we don't want that. We want our businesses to be easy. We want them to be successful. We want to fly to our goals. There's no point having a goal and having it destroy our life. We want to be able to keep our health. We want to keep our relationships. We want all of our life to work. And so the tapping is just a really good way to keep that stress levels down. So if you're interested in this course, it's just $29 a month. There's modules in there that will be, so at the moment there's 7 modules in there, so there's plenty to work on for the moment, and every month there'll be 4 new modules released over the next 12 months. And so plenty of opportunities for you to find things that are causing you an issue now and tap them away. So has anybody got any more questions? You'll send us a link in the email. Yes. So I can type. Oh, there we go. David's typed it in for me. Must have a David doing webinars. It's wonderful. So there's the link. How many months? It's an online membership, so $29 every month, each month. And at the moment, there's enough there. It goes for 12 months, and we'll see how we go after that. So plenty of opportunity, plenty of different modules. As you grow in your business, you'll find that you go back to things. So the goal setting one, for instance, there's always, another level to go to. And I ask the questions so that you will get to your issues, because generalized tapping and tapping scripts that you'll find on the internet are good to get you started. But the real clearing, the real power in tapping is when you use your own words, because they're your stories. So whatever story you had, whether it was maybe they got laughed at when you did show and tell in prep and people thought you were silly, and now you don't want to do a webinar or stand in groups of people. So you need to clear that memory so that you can now thrive in your business. Is there a possibility? Yes, there's. So there'll be I'll send you an email later today with the link, and obviously you can watch it again. Just managed to get connection. So, you missed out on the introduction. That's okay. Yes, you can go back and watch it. Watch any bits of it. Denise is actually one of my Mind Matters people already, and she's saying she loves the attention. Yes, because it's my special little group, so I'm in there all the time answering your questions. And as I said, we're going to be doing some live tappings in there as well. We did one last week, and we'll be doing that regularly. So yes, it's a month to month, Monique. So there is if you bought the 12 months, it's 290 rather than, so 10 times rather than 12 times. So it is slightly cheaper to buy it by the year, but you can just pay it by the month as well. Cosmic says, thanks, that's wonderful. I hope you've enjoyed today. I hope you've learnt a little bit more about tapping and why it's so good. So many people are now recommending it. If you go to any of the gurus, the Bob Proctors, the Denise Duffields, Thomases, the Tony Robbins, any of the gurus, you'll find that they all are recommending tapping, and it's because it works. It's not some crazy tapping on our face thing. It's actually scientifically proven to work. Is it a 12-month commitment? No, you can just sign up for the month by month, and stop the subscription if you discover it's not for you. Obviously, if you pay both for the 12 months, though, it's a lot cheaper. So it's up to you. Have to go to the Takeoff. Yes, Mandy, got to go to Takeoff. Learn more about the business strategy, so that the 20%, and come and do this for the 80%. So Amanda's saying that, yes, there's a lot new research into EFT for weight loss. The psychology departments of many universities around Australia are doing research into EFT, and the Bond University here on the Gold Coast, the professor of psychology there, Peter Stapleton, is actually doing quite a bit of work on weight loss and tapping. And I actually went to a seminar that she ran last weekend and got a lot of the information on the current research that she's doing. And it's just fantastic, because you imagine if we've got something like tapping to help with weight loss, that's all we have to do. And it really is that simple. So there is older research, but there is research coming out, and more research coming out, on how fantastic EFT is, from everything from weight loss to post-traumatic stress, and everything in between. All right, Monique, we'll see you later. Is there any more questions, anybody? All right, it was lovely to see you all. Thank you very much for coming, and I really appreciate it. And if you've got any questions, just email me. Okay, bye everybody. Love you. Bye.